O'Grady for the Village of Tinley Park. We had started our special meeting public hearing on an annexation agreement, and an unknown caller called in and used inappropriate and vulgar language. The meeting was immediately stopped by our coordinator. We are back on the line again, starting our second GoToMeeting with the village board, and we're in the village boardroom, some of us, and the meeting is open to the public. People that will come in person tonight to the village board meeting will have an opportunity to attend or to make public comment, but that will be limited to that tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor O'Grady. Again, I'd ask that everyone please mute their microphones while we read, and then when you're called upon, you can unmute it. I will begin from the top. At this time, I'd like to call a special village meeting to order. Let the record reflect that it is Tuesday, April 7th, 2020, and the record should read 7:20 p.m. as a start time. As a preliminary matter, this is Mayor Jacob Vandenberg. Before we get started, I would ask that anyone joining us remotely please be patient and respectful as we navigate this meeting remotely. In order for this meeting to run smoothly, I will not tolerate speaking out of turn or inappropriate comments being made or posted electronically. As this is a special meeting, all comments must be germane to the items on the agenda. At this time, allow me to confirm that the members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Clerk Therian.
Present.
Clerk Therian.
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Berg.
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Brady. Trustee Bill Brady. Don't believe Trustee Brady is on the line yet. Trustee Brennan. Trustee Bill Brennan.
Brennan is showing.
Is he muted?
Brennan is not muted.
Trustee Bill Brennan. Trustee Galante.
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Glotz.
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Mueller.
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Bill Brennan. Trustee Bill Brady. For the record, those two are not responding at this time. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Village Manager Dave Niemeyer.
Affirmative.
Village Assistant Manager and EMA 911 Director Pat Carr.
Affirmative.
Deputy Clerk Laura Gadet.
Present.
Village Attorney Paul O'Grady.
Present.
Marketing Director Donna Framke.
Here.
Community Development Director Kimberly Clark.
Affirmative.
Business Development Manager Priscilla Cordero.
Here.
Police Chief Matt Walsh.
Here.
Fire Chief Forrest Reeder.
Present.
Interim Public Works Director John Urbanski.
Here.
Village Treasurer Brad Bettenhausen.
Here.
Assistant Village Treasurer Andrew Brown.
Here.
Management Analyst Hannah Littman.
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Berg, are you on the line?
Yes.
Trustee Galante, are you online?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm seeing two Trustee Galantes on my screen. I'm not sure if that matters or not.
No, it's fine.
Once a
Thank you.
computer wasn't a cell phone.
Thank you. We'll continue. Good evening, everyone. I thank you in advance for your patience and cooperation throughout tonight's village board meetings, which are conveying remotely via GoToMeeting. This open meeting of the Village of Tinley Park is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Pritzker's Executive Order 2020-07 issued on March 16, 2020, which suspends the Open Meetings Act provisions relating to in-person attendance by members of the public body. Specifically, the Governor's Order, 1, suspends the requirement in Section 2.01 that members of a public body must physically be present, and 2, suspends the limitations in Section 7 on when remote participation is allowed. The Open Meetings Act requires public bodies to allow for public comment. Therefore, this meeting will feature public comment. Even if members of the public do not provide comment, participants are advised that people may be listening who do not provide comment, and those persons are not required to identify themselves. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by web audio conference. All of the materials for this meeting are available on the village website, and we recommend that members and the public follow the agenda as posted. Before turning to the first item on the agenda to open a public hearing, allow me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, Mayor Vandenberg, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I, the chair, will go down the line of the members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, question, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response or comment on any item, please wait until I, the chair, yields the floor to you. And always state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comment, after members have spoken, I, the chair, will afford public comment as follows. Deputy Clerk Laura Gadet will read any comments that were emailed prior to the meeting. I, the chair, will then allow comments to be made by those present at the meeting. Comments being made by those attending the meeting electronically will be heard last. Remote attendees will be muted at all times other than for public comment. The chair will unmute remote attendees and first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their first name and whether or not they are a Tinley Park resident. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, I will call on each by name and afford 6 minutes for any comments. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. At this time, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Berg.
Here.
Trustee Brady.
Here.
Trustee Brennan. Trustee Brennan. Trustee Galante.
Present.
Trustee Glatz.
Present.
Trustee Mueller.
Present.
Mayor Vandenberg is also present. At this time, we move on to item 1. I'd ask for a motion to open a public hearing.
I'll make that motion. Yeah, I'd like to ask for a motion to conduct a public hearing on a proposed annexation agreement for the property located at 18501 Ridgeland Avenue, Mad Outdoors Incorporated.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Trustee Mueller, would you like to continue?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The petitioners David Millay and Mark Pritzker, on behalf of Mad Outdoor Inc., have petitioned the Village of Tinley Park to annex their approximate 16.58 acre parcel located at 18501 Ridgeland Avenue. There are 3 billboards with 4 sign faces currently located at the property that will be rendered illegal, non-conforming upon annexation. Per the annexation agreement, these billboards will be allowed to continue in their current configuration subject to Section 9.n, non-conforming signs of the Tinley Park zoning ordinance. The property will be annexed as R1 single-family residential zoning district. Any redevelopment of the parcel will need to conform to village code, ordinances, and regulations as amended from time to time. As part of the annexation agreement, the petitioner has graciously agreed to provide 1 month of advertising per year on 1 billboard free of charge, with the exception of a nominal production cost of $700, which amount represents present and value, and future costs shall reflect the current costs for layout and printing.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Are there any comments from the petitioner? Let the record reflect there's none. Are there any comments from the board? Let the record reflect there is none. Are there any comments from staff?
Mayor, this is Kimberly Clark. Just the annexation of the subject parcel will allow the village to control the future development and zoning of the property. Even though the village zoning ordinance prohibits billboards, they can be allowed to continue in their current state through the annexation process as a legal non-conforming sign, subject to Section 9.n and non-conforming sign of the Tinley Park zoning ordinance. As a non-conforming sign, they are not allowed to be changed or altered in any manner that will increase their non-conformity, and they are not allowed to be enlarged or expanded or structurally altered to prolong its useful life, or moved in whole or part into any other location. The annexation of the subject parcel will provide tax revenue for the existing improvements on the property. The property is encumbered with significant floodplains, therefore future development of the parcel may necessitate significant engineering costs, which will likely limit development scenarios. The frontage along I-80 has limited access to the property, which also compromises its development potential. Any redevelopment proposal will require typical village entitlement protocols in full compliance with all village ordinances, codes, and regulations.
Thank you, Kimberly. If there's nothing else from staff, we'll continue. I'd ask for any comments from the public in the following order. The first will take public comments sent to email. Deputy Clerk will read any comments. Are there any comments regarding this for this public hearing?
No.
Thank you. Number 2, comments will be heard from members of the public present that are at the meeting.
There are none.
Thank you. Item 3, comments will be heard from members of the public participating via electronic means.
Or none?
Thank you. Trustee Mueller?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing on the proposed annexation agreement for the property located at 18501 Ridgeland Avenue, Mad Outdoors Incorporated.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll to close the public hearing?
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady. Trustee Brady. Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glotz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
President
That
Vang.
motion will carry. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 2 of this public hearing, which will be held for public comment. Again, I would ask that these public comments be followed in this order. Number 1, public comments sent to email. Deputy Clerk?
Mr. Mayor, this is Attorney O'Grady. There are no email comments.
Thank you. Number 2, comments from anyone that is public or present at the meeting. Pardon me.
Again, this is Attorney O'Grady. There are no public speakers here in the room.
Thank you. Number 3, we are no longer accepting electronic comments for this public hearing, so there will be nothing on item 3.
Correct. Again, that's Attorney O'Grady.
At this time, can I have a motion to adjourn the special board meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the special board meeting.
I'll second that.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Brady? Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante?
Yes.
Trustee Glatz?
Yes.
And Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion will carry. At this time, this meeting is adjourned. The time is 7:35 p.m. We'll continue on with our meeting this evening. At this time, I'd like to call a special village meeting to order. Let the record reflect that it's Tuesday, April 7th, 2020, 7:35 p.m. As a preliminary matter, this is Mayor Vandenberg speaking. Before we get started, I'd like to ask anyone joining us remotely to please be patient, be respectful as we navigate this meeting remotely. In order for this meeting to run smoothly, I will not tolerate speaking out of turn or inappropriate comments to be made or posted electronically. As this is a special meeting, all comments must be germane to items on the agenda. At this time, allow me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Clerk Therian.
Present.
Trustee Berg.
Present.
Trustee Bill Brady.
Here.
Trustee Brady is with us. Thank you. Trustee Bill Brennan.
Here.
Trustee Diane Galante.
Present.
Trustee Glotz.
Present.
Trustee Mueller.
Present.
Thank you. Staff, when I call your name. Dave Niemeyer.
Present.
Pat Carr.
Affirmative.
Laura Gadet.
Present.
Paul O'Grady.
Present.
Donna Framke.
Present.
Kimberly Clark.
Affirmative.
Priscilla Cadero. Priscilla?
She said present, Jake.
Thank you. Matt Walsh.
Present.
Horace Reeder.
Present.
John Urbanski.
Present.
Brad Bettenhausen.
Here.
Andrew Brown.
Here.
Hannah Littman.
Present.
Thank you. Again, good evening, everyone, and thank you in advance for your patience and cooperation throughout tonight's village board meetings, which are conveying remotely to you via GoToMeeting. This open meeting of the Village of Tinley Park is being conducted remotely in consistency with Governor Pritzker's Executive Order of 2020-07, issued on March 16th of 2020, which suspends the Open Meetings Act provisions relating to in-person attendance by members of the public body. Specifically, the governor's order, number 1, suspends the requirement in section 2.01 that members of a public body must be physically present, and 2, suspends the limitations in section 7 on when remote participation is allowed. The Open Meetings Act requires public bodies to allow for public comment. Therefore, this meeting will feature public comment. Even if members of the public do not provide comment, participants are advised that people may be listening who do not provide comment, and those persons are not required to identify themselves. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by web and audio conference. All of the materials for this meeting are available on the village website, and we recommend that members of the public follow the agenda as posted. Before turning to the first item on this agenda, to open a public hearing, allow me to cover some ground rules for effective, clear conduct of our business and to assure accurate meeting minutes. Mayor Vandenberg will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude the remarks, I, the chair, will go down the line of the members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, question, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response or comment on any item, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you, and always state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. Deputy Clerk Laura Gadet will first read any comments that were emailed prior to the meeting. The chair will then allow comments to be made by those present at the meeting. And then comments being made by those attending the meeting electronically will be heard last. The remote attendees will be muted at all times other than for public comment. The chair will unmute remote attendees. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, I will call each by name and afford 6 minutes for any comments. Electronic, at this time, I believe, Councilor, if you could confirm, electronic participation will be muted and canceled for this portion of the meeting, correct?
Mr. Mayor, as we begin our GoToMeeting at 7 o'clock this evening, unknown callers used inappropriate vulgar language, and the hearing was stopped. A new GoToMeeting number and call-in password were circulated to staff and board members. We're in the boardroom with village staff. The boardroom is open and open for public comments, but there will be no electronic public comments, correct?
Thank you, Councilor. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, I'd ask that you please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Here.
Trustee Brady.
Here.
Trustee Brennan.
Present.
Trustee Galante.
Present.
Trustee Glatz.
Present.
Trustee Mueller.
Present.
President Vandenberg.
Present. Thank you. Trustee Galante, item 1.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to conduct a public hearing on the proposed 2021 fiscal year budget, which covers the May 1st, 2020 through April 30th, 2021.
A second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Trustee Galante?
In conformance with the state statutes, a notice of public hearing was published in the newspaper on Tuesday, March 31st, 2020, and the proposed budget has been available for the public inspection on the village website since April 1st, 2020.
Thank you, Trustee Galante. At this time, Andrew Brown, Assistant Village Treasurer, will make a brief presentation on the proposed fiscal year 2021 budget.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. What you have before you is the proposed 2021 budget. This is the third time we've discussed this in a public setting. On March 10th, the draft budget was presented. The board's comments were taken. Some changes were then made to the budget, which was then presented again back to the board with said changes at the following board meeting. And tonight, seeing as there was no further changes requested at that time, this budget document reflects the same budget numbers as were presented at the previous board meeting. To move through this with a brief overview, the first slide shows a comparison, an analytical comparison of revenues and expenditures which total for the fiscal year 2021 budget of expenditures of $150,282,614, which is a decrease of 3.45% over the previous year's budget. Total budgeted revenue is $117,514,902, an increase of 1.65% over the previous year. The next slide shows an analytical comparison of revenues over expenditures by fund. It should be noted that the general fund, water and sewer fund, and commuter parking lot fund are all balanced budgets in accordance with established village fiscal policy. Moving on to the revenue section, the lion's share of the revenues of this 2021 budget are made up of 4 categories, that being property taxes, fees, sales taxes, and other taxes. Those other taxes would include income tax, use tax, and motor fuel tax. These 4 revenue streams make up approximately 81% of our total revenue budget. The remaining 19% is comprised of licenses, permits, fines, forfeitures, and other sources. Just to highlight a few of our major funds that operate under the fiscal 21 budget, the general fund revenue is projected at $57.6 million, an increase of 2.9% over the prior year. The water and sewer fund is budgeted at $25.7 million, a decrease of 2.1% over the prior year, with the commuter parking lot at just under $1 million, which is an increase of 3.1% over the prior year. The motor fuel and local roads funds combined at $4.5 million, which is an increase of 58.3% over the prior year, and the police pension fund at $10 million, which is an 11% increase over the prior year. To highlight the expenditures, again, the 4 major categories that have been budgeted for this fiscal year are personnel services, capital outlay, commodities, and contractual services. Those account for 91% of the total budget expenditures for the Village of Tinley Park in fiscal year 2021. The remaining 9% are comprised of non-capitalized equipment purchases, debt service payments, and other uses. The expenditures by fund, the general fund is projected at $57.4 million, an increase of 4.7% over the prior year. The water and sewer fund at $25.3 million, a decrease of 3% over the prior year. The commuter parking lot at $500,000, an increase of about 8% over the prior year. The motor fuel and local roads combined at $4.1 million, an increase of 2.8%, and the police pension fund at $4.8 million, an increase of 3.1%. As previously circulated in all versions of the budget that's presented to the board, the personnel requests that are being proposed are 3 police officers, a records clerk in the police department, an emergency planner for EMA, a maintenance technician for the Public Works Streets Division, and a part-time inspector for the fire department, and a part-time seasonal Public Works building worker. It should be noted that these proposed positions will be frozen pending a mid-year review due to the current uncertainty of the economic condition. Moving on to capital outlay, these will be presented in 2 pieces. The first piece, which is before you now, is the capital requests by department. This tends to be more of the operational needs of departments, including equipment and other items. The original requested amounts for the departments was just under $14.7 million, of which the proposed budget funds just under $10 million of those requests. Moving on to the brick and mortar type capital outlay expenditures, which is typically our infrastructure, our larger cost items. The original requested budget asked for $52.8 million in infrastructure improvement. This budget proposes funding $27.8 million of said request. Again, this budget is being proposed in a very unprecedented time in our history, and we are aware that things will change. It should be noted that the timing of this pandemic has occurred in lockstep with our budget process, and that just is a coincidence. Effectively, if this would have happened mid-year or towards the end of a budget year, we would be taking the same measures and approaches that we are now heading into the next fiscal year. This is a continuous process of evaluation and execution throughout each budget year. This year is presenting us with some unprecedented times. The four main factors that I want to convey in this time is that the village is proactive. Right now, we've already communicated to departments that they need to look again at their budget and prepare to eliminate any discretionary spending that doesn't affect their core services and operations, as well as realign their capital needs as in what has to be done and what could be deferred. Another important part of this process would be to monitor what's going on. We are currently still in the throes of this pandemic, and unfortunately, we do not know how long this is going to go on or what the total impact would be at this time. And the village will continue to monitor this and make decisions financially and, again, trying to be proactive in manner that we are able to cover our core services and continue to provide the highest level of service to our residents. The third factor is assessing the situation. As we just spoke, we don't know when this is going to end, and we are currently assessing what we know in real time, and we will continue to do so until this is over. Once this ends, it will give us an opportunity to get back to some normalcy and reassess what we think the outcomes will be, what the losses in revenues will look like, and give us a better opportunity to forecast what will truly look like at the end of this fiscal year 2021. And lastly, and most importantly, the village's flexibility. Due to some staunch stewardship over time prior to the pandemic, we've put ourselves in a primary place that we can afford to lose revenues and continue to service the village residents and accomplish capital requests as needed, as well as service the infrastructure going forward, because we've built up reserves and have fund balances that allow us to do so. This is key to our continued success in providing the high level of service that Tinley Park is known for. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to see if there are any questions from the board.
Thank you, Mr. Brown, for your very detailed and brief presentation of this 2021 budget. At this time, I will go down the line of members and ask if there's any specific questions that you have for the Assistant Treasurer. Trustee Berg.
Hi, this is Trustee Berg. I'm wondering about recasting the revenue projection for this budget based on the fact that we possibly been looking for a whole quarter missing. Half the business from March the 15th, 2020 till June the 15th, 2020 will be approximately 25% of our revenue that we're not going to get from sales tax with the restaurants being closed, no retail services whatsoever, reduced auto dealerships, and most other services. Gaming's at zero. The motor vehicle, that's going to be reduced too. What are we planning on doing to be proactive? What Andrew just described was great, but it doesn't really say what we're doing now. I think maybe we should wait and recast the revenue projections. Thank you.
So one of the measures that we've taken in communicating with the department heads is talking to them about their capital outlay. As noted, capital outlay is our second largest in the four major categories of expenditures. And we've asked the departments to go back and look at what has to be done, what needs to be done, and what could possibly be deferred. So there would potentially be some savings there, as well as we've talked to the department heads about non-discretionary spending, as well as freezing the agreed upon budgeted positions that are proposed. Those will be reviewed at a mid-year. Our mid-year is approximately November, so that allows us time to hopefully at that time have a better understanding of what has been lost, as you referred to, in that March through June window. But unfortunately, we won't know that if it is going to stop in June. It could go further than that. So to speculate and say what we think it's going to be and recast these revenues right now would be quite the guess. I'm sure we could get in the neighborhood, but to recast those revenues and recut expenditures and go through what is effectively a 6-month process in a 2-week window would be quite a daunting task, not really knowing what the true end is. And again, if we were a calendar year, fiscal year, we would be over a quarter into a budget that was already passed, and we would be looking down the line at trying to be, again, flexible on the spot. And I believe that the village is in a prime position that our flexibility will allow us to essentially take this wave of lost revenue, utilize our reserves, utilize our fund balances to get through that portion to keep the service levels provided. And then once, some normalcy gets back, once we know that businesses are going to be putting, people back to work and in their facilities as well as restaurants, for some of the other revenue streams that you said would be a waterfall from that, would mean increase in motor fuel, an increase in the gaming tax potentially with those restaurants opening up again. That's when we could really say, okay, what is the window? Because right now, without knowing, it's just as difficult to guess what those revenues are going to look like than what it would be afterwards, when we'd be able to take a look back knowing, okay, we're going to see some things pick up. We know where the bottom is.
I like the reviewing and delaying expenses. That's very good, but I really feel that every company is redoing their budget right now as far as the revenue projections based on, this could even go, people may not swamp back to a restaurant June of 2015 of 20. This could be even longer. I just feel it's irresponsible for us to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Berg. Trustee Brady, do you have any questions to direct towards Mr. Brown?
No, I do not. I think he did a fine job explaining everything and the cautions that we have to take at this time.
Thank you. Trustee Brennan, do you have anything to direct to Mr. Brown?
No, thank you, Andrew. Appreciate you putting this together. I know you guys worked, really hard on this. I understand that we aren't going to have to, definitely make some changes throughout the year. And, I think having this budget, in place is a good thing. We can make changes throughout the year. We're still in the thick of this, and I don't think we really know the economic fallout that we're actually going to see just yet. So, I know our state and our federal government are still rolling out programs that we just don't know how that's going to affect us as well. So, while I do, appreciate Cindy's comments, I don't think that, I think it's good to have our budget in place, but we can certainly make changes here down the road. So I appreciate all you guys have done on that.
Thank you. Trustee Galante?
Thank you. I'm going to say the same. Thanks for everything that was presented and all the work that was put into this. And I'm going to agree with Bill. I don't think anything's set in stone yet that we know what's going to be in place. And I don't think we can just hold it up. We have to move forward and then adjust. That's all I was going to say.
Thank you. Trustee Glatz?
Yes, Andrew, first, thank you for your presentation. I think you answered most of Trustee Berg's comments in your original presentation, but thanks for reiterating them. Second, Tinley Park, in my opinion, is very lucky for several reasons. One, we have Brad Bettenhausen. He's one of the best there is in the industry. Everybody knows that. We get reward after reward due to everything that Brad and his finance staff has done. And we wouldn't be in the situation that you mentioned about how all the reserves and everything that we haven't done because of several people. And it starts from the top. It starts from Brad. It starts from his finance department and all the people that he works with. Everything that Dave, since he's been here, and the old manager, Nieheis, all the way down to Mertens, Tilton, Mayor Seaman, Clerk Ray, and Mayor Zabrocki. It wasn't something that just happened over the course of 2 years. That's something that Brad and the team has been building over a decade to get us to where we're at financially. So, thank you everyone that was put us in this position where it stinks. Obviously, we'd love to have the revenue, but if it wasn't the people that were in place for the last 10, 15 years, we wouldn't be where we're at today to make it a little bit easier to take a hit like this. It's just, I think we're in a better position than our neighbors because of the people that we have working here. So thanks to everybody. That's it, Jake.
Thank you, Trustee Glatz. Trustee Mueller, do you have anything to add to or question for Mr. Brown?
Yeah, thank you for putting all this stuff together. You guys did a very nice job. I asked the same question that Trustee Berg asked at the last board meeting, and the answer was very consistent, and I think we're doing the appropriate things there. I'll just reiterate to try to identify some lead indicators of how sales tax and other taxes are going to kind of bounce back after we get through this. Like, for example, the gambling, which is reported more frequently, might be a good indicator that people are going back to restaurants and we'll be getting that revenue back. And if we don't see that, we may have to tighten the leashes a little bit more than we even expected. And then I will also say that my company actually did not redo its revenue. We've got 90% of our revenue locked in. And so I don't think that this is universally affecting every single company the same. And as Trustee Glotz said, we'll be affected a little less because of the good planning by our predecessors and Brad and his team. So I appreciate all your guys' hard work.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Does anybody from staff have anything to add to the record regarding the budget?
Thank you, Mayor. It's Brad Bettenhausen, Village Treasurer. Again, I want to echo the comments here. Thank you for the compliments. Again, this is, the fact that we are in the position that we are in today is because of the fiscal planning that has taken place actually over the last 50 years, establishing policies and principles that have allowed us to build up our reserves to the point that worst case, and I don't even want to go there, that we could operate for 6 months without any revenues coming in at all. So we are, again, we are taking active steps to control expenditures and monitoring our revenues every day as new information becomes available, and we will continue to do this until we are through this crisis.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Bettenhausen. Anything else from staff? It appears there is not. We'll move on. Thank you. I would ask for comments from the public to follow in this order. We'll take the first steps. Any emailed comments, Deputy Clerk?
Mr. Mayor, this is Paul O'Grady again. There were no email comments as it pertains to the budget. There are no persons here in the room, and there are no electronic comments either. Obviously, again, given the issue that happened earlier tonight, and then additionally, as we're working through and asking for everybody's patience, so there are no comments.
Thank you, Counselor. Trustee Galante?
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on the proposed 2020 fiscal year budget hearing.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
No.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glotz.
Yes.
And Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you. Item 2, public comment. Is there any public comment regarding this agenda this evening?
Again, Mr. Mayor, it's Paul O'Grady.
Same as applies?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Counselor. At this time, do I have a motion to adjourn the special board meeting?
I'll make the motion to adjourn the special village board meeting.
Second?
Been properly moved and seconded. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
And motion will carry. We are adjourned from the special board meeting at 8:04 p.m. Thank you. Okay, good evening. At this time, I'd like to call our regularly scheduled village board meeting to order. Let the record reflect that it is Tuesday, April 7th, 2020 at 8:05 p.m. As a preliminary matter, this is Mayor Jacob Vandenberg speaking. Before we get started, I would like to ask that anyone joining us remotely, please be patient and respectful as we navigate this meeting remotely. In order for this meeting to run smoothly, I will not tolerate speaking out of turn or inappropriate comments. This is a remote meeting. We ask that all comments be germane as possible to the items on the agenda in order to keep the meeting moving forward in an orderly fashion. At this time, allow me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Clerk Therian.
Present.
Trustee Berg.
Here.
Trustee Brady.
Here.
Trustee Brennan.
Affirmative.
Trustee Galante.
Affirmative.
Trustee Glatz.
Present.
Trustee Mueller.
I'm here.
Thank you. Staff, when I call your name, again, please respond in the affirmative. David Niemeyer.
Present.
Pat Carr.
Affirmative.
Laura Gadet.
Present.
Councilor Paul O'Grady.
Here.
Donna Framke.
Here.
Kimberly Clark.
Affirmative.
Priscilla Cordero. Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh.
Present. Present.
Forrest Reeder. Forrest Reeder.
Present.
John Mason.
Present.
Brad Bettenhausen.
Here.
Andrew Brown.
Here.
Hannah Littman.
Present.
Thank you all. Once again, good evening, everyone, and thank you in advance for your patience and cooperation throughout tonight's village board meeting, which is conveying remotely via GoToMeeting. This open meeting of the village of Tinley Park is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Pritzker's Executive Order 2020-07, which was issued on March 16th, 2020. It suspends the Open Meetings Act provisions relating to in-person attendance by members of the public. Specifically, the governor's order suspends the requirement in Section 2.01 that members of a public body must physically be present. And 2, suspends the limitations in Section 7 when a remote participation is allowed. In order to mitigate the transmission of the virus and reduce risk of COVID-19 illness, Executive Order 2020-07 furthermore encourages public bodies to postpone public business when possible. Therefore, tonight's agenda has been kept to a minimum. The Open Meetings Act requires public bodies to allow for public comment. This meeting will feature public comment. Even if members of the public do not provide comment, participants are advised that people may be listening who do not provide comment, and those persons are not required to identify themselves. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by web and audio conference. All of the materials for this meeting are available on the village website, and we recommend that members and the public follow the agenda as posted. Before turning to the first item on the agenda, allow me to cover some ground rules. This will allow for effective and clear conduct for our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, Mayor Vandenberg, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response or comment on any item, please wait until I, the chair, yield the floor to you, and always state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. Item number 2 on the agenda seeks a motion to advance public comment to item 2A of the agenda. This will be the opportunity for any person or remote attendee to make comments that are as germane as possible to the agenda item. Additionally, there will be an opportunity for public comment during item 7, as the proposed resolution is eligible for adoption. Attorney Paul O'Grady will explain at that time.
Mr. Mayor.
Remote attendees, oh, you're going to do that now, Mr.
I
O'Grady?
just wanted to make a comment. Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I recommended to the clerk and the clerk's office that the board make a motion to advance public comment to 2B on the agenda in order to have a more orderly meeting and at the same time ensure that public comments are heard before any board action is taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Remote attendees will be muted at all times other than for public comment. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Mr. O'Grady?
No, sir.
Thank you. Deputy Clerk Laura Gaudette will first read any comments that were emailed prior to the meeting. The chair will then allow comments to be made by those present at the meeting. Comments being made by those attending the meeting electronically will be heard last. The chair will unmute remote attendees and first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their first name and whether or not they are a Tinley Park resident. The chair has a list of all public commentators, and I will call on each by name and afford 6 minutes for any comment. Finally, each vote, again taken this evening, will be conducted via a roll call vote. At this time, if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Here.
Trustee Brady.
Here.
Trustee Brennan.
Present.
Trustee Galante.
Present.
Trustee Glatz.
Present.
Trustee Mueller.
Here.
President Vandenberg.
Present. Thank you. We are all present. Item number 1, I'd ask for a motion to consider the agenda.
So moved.
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded.
Oh,
Please call the roll.
hold on one second, Jake. Was the script sent out to Trustee Berg and everyone else?
What script?
Okay.
Yes,
You want to answer that, Dave?
yes,
So everyone's not talking all over each other? Before we continue, do you want to answer that for Cindy?
yes, we did send it out, yes.
Trustee Glatz, allow me to answer.
All yours.
Thank you. Everyone should have a script of this evening's agenda. It has been predetermined that certain individuals will be motioning items. So please follow the script accordingly. Again, unless you're called upon, please do not speak and keep your phone or computer on mute. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you. Item number 2, Clerk Therian.
I'd like to make a motion to consider advancement of item number 14, receive comments from the public, to item 2A of this agenda.
Mr. O'Grady, is there anything else you'd like to add to this item before we proceed?
Yes, as I stated earlier, I recommended this to the clerk's office. They have this advanced so we'd have a more orderly meeting and ensure public comments are heard before. I will also add that, I'll hold off on that part. I'll take it on the next part. I'm done.
Thank you, Counselor.
I'll make a motion to consider advancement of item number 14, receive comments from the public to item 2A of the agenda.
Second?
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes?
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you. Item 2A. At this time, I'd ask for comments from the public in the following order. Are there any emails that were sent to the clerk's office for reading for public comment?
Mr. Mayor, it's Paul O'Grady, Village Attorney. If I could, a couple things for the record. Earlier this evening, when we started our first public hearing on the annexation agreement, there was an unknown caller that called in and used the inappropriate language and vulgar language via our GoToMeeting and our call-in number. That meeting was stopped, and we issued new numbers to the staff and the village board to start the meeting up again. We are now conducting this meeting under those circumstances. In addition, for the record, earlier today, an email was received by Mr. Stephen Eberhardt that was sent to the clerk's office. That email was distributed to all the elected officials for their edification and reading before tonight's board meeting by the village manager, and I'll turn it back to him now if he has any comments on that.
No, I think you covered it pretty well, Paul. There was an email sent with some comments by Mr. Everhart that everyone should have in their inbox.
According to the direction from the PAC, that's all we have to do at this point. So there are no members here in the room. There are no, I should say that, there are no members of the public here in the room to make comment. There are no members of the public participating electronically. So there is nothing under public comments other than that email that was submitted to the board.
Thank you very much for the explanation. Item 3. This time I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the regular village board meeting that was held on March 17, 2020.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second that.
Been properly moved and seconded. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
And Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
The motion will carry. Thank you. At this time, I received a staff update regarding COVID-19. Manager Niemeyer, would you like to brief the board and the public regarding updates on the crisis?
Sure, thank you, Mayor Vandenberg. I would like to introduce several staff members who will be giving updates on the COVID-19 crisis and the things that staff have been dealing with. I would like to, before I do that, thank really all of our employees who continue to serve the public in these very challenging and unpredictable times. And I want to particularly thank all of our first responders who continue to do their job even with the potential health challenges that are out there every day they work. So we have several updates, and the first person I'm going to introduce is Donna Franke. Donna, can you give an update on what you've been working on?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. As soon as we realized we had the crisis on our hands, the first thing we did was create a dedicated web page to COVID-19 information on the website. This includes much information dedicated to residents, to seniors, and to our businesses, as well as links to county, state, and federal resources. To date, we've had 10,077 page views already. This information is updated as information becomes available. The page is updated, and we will continue to push that out and make that available to as many of our residents and businesses as possible. We also have been working on some engagement initiatives. We've created a Cards to Connect program whereby local families are making cards for first responders and senior citizens in our local senior citizen centers. Also working on some other initiatives like a music contest that we've been sharing Park District initiatives, working with the Ministerial Association on some initiatives, and continue to work on that as we move forward. We also had staff focus this week on assisting Priscilla and the Community Development Department on some business outreach. We've reached out to each one of our restaurants within the marketing department, and our community development has overall made the initiative to reach out to all businesses in Tinley Park in anticipation of a webinar on Thursday that Priscilla is going to talk more about in a little while. Of course, we're open to any ideas that anybody has for engagement initiatives and providing information, so please keep us in mind if there's anything that we can share. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Chief Walsh, can you give an overview of the types of calls the department's receiving and the governor's executive order?
Yeah, thanks. I've been working with EMA, Fire, Public Works, and other members of the village on this COVID-19. Fortunately, we have not had anybody who's tested positive. We've had some possible exposures, but no one is symptomatic. We were fortunate to locate a vendor in Tinley Park that provided hand cleaner for us, gave us 10 gallons, and I believe that they were going to give some to the fire department and others. As far as working with the village, we've been working trying to determine essential versus non-essential, and we've been receiving calls from citizens that are concerned that some places should be open, some shouldn't. We've been working on a case-by-case basis. If we determine that they're essential, they are left in business. If they're non-essential, then we go out and we give them a verbal warning. If they don't heed our verbal warning, it will be followed by a cease and desist. And ultimately, as a last resort, we would have to cite them for reckless conduct. We have not gotten there yet. We've had some pushback from citizens that were congregating in some of our parks that they would like to be able to remain there. We explained the social distancing to them, and after a little bit of pushback, they conformed, and we haven't had problems since. So that's basically it. It's just a case-by-case basis, and we're trying to determine what's essential versus non-essential, and we're trying to keep as many places open and running as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Pat Carr, can you talk about the status of our volunteer group and EOC operations?
Yes, thanks, Dave. I'd like to echo again what you said of just thanking our employees, our first-line employees, fire, EMS, police department, but also, you know, our village administration, our people in the front office here in the village, our clerks, our finance department, our building department, community development, our marketing department. Everybody's been all hands on deck. Have to shout out again to Brad and Andrew. As it relates to our finance function during this incident, we've been ahead of the game on filling out the proper paperwork from FEMA to get registered as part of our grant process to start recapturing some of the costs if we get reimbursement from the federal government. So that's been in progress for the last several weeks. So again, can't say thank you enough for all the people and all the employees that have taken part in that. And then also, I'd like to thank the mayor, Trustee Glotz, for our senior group, along with our volunteer residents, Tim Janicek, Nancy O'Connor, and Colleen Sullivan. We've serviced close to 100 seniors and at-risk people in the village, and it's a continuous thing every day. It's very successful. It's running fairly smoothly, and you know, it's been a great effort on this volunteer group on putting together to service this at-risk folks that we have in the village and getting them the needed groceries and medications that they need.
All right, thank you, Pat. Hannah's going to talk a little bit about some of our financial issues in terms of fees and licenses that we looked at. Hannah?
Sure, thanks, Dave. In response to the COVID outbreak, we have looked at, as Dave mentioned, various assistance measures in terms of fees and licenses across the board. So I just want to provide a quick overview of some of those. The village has extended the filing and payment of March hotel taxes to May 15th. Penalties and interest on any past due hotel tax payments have been waived through May 15th. The village is postponing the implementation of the new storage tax. Until further notice, the village will not charge late fees or shut off water service due to an inability to pay. The village is waiving temporary sign permit fees and time limits for businesses. The village is waiving all semi-annual liquor license renewal fees that would be due on 6/30 and will begin to collect these fees on an annual basis beginning 12/31. All fees relative to building, planning, and zoning that were recently increased as a result of our fee study have been reverted back to the previous rates until July 1st, and the same has been done for various fire protection and sprinkler fees. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Hannah. And finally, Priscilla Cordero, new business development manager, is going to talk about her business outreach.
Thank you, Dave. Just want to say that I am glad to be on board with the village in these challenging times and want to share some things that the staff and I are doing to help businesses in town. So in light of COVID-19, my first order of business was to ensure businesses were aware of all the programs that we're rolling out on an almost weekly, if not daily basis. On that note, we've sent out emails to over 800 businesses, making them aware of the assistance that is available to them. We've reached out to all of the car dealerships in town. We have reached out to all the hotels, as we wanted to highlight a grant being offered through the state for the hospitality industry, which includes restaurants and bars. We have connected with the Southland Small Business Development Center, the Women's Business Development Center, Will County Economic Development Corporation, the Tinley Park Chamber of Commerce, Chicago Southland Economic Development Corporation, and other economic development directors to share resources and connect business owners to these resources. The staff and I, as Donna mentioned, continue to reach out by phone daily to as many other businesses as possible. This Thursday at 8 a.m., we are hosting a webinar on surviving COVID-19. The purpose of the webinar will be to present all the different loan options and programs available to business owners. Just briefly, some of the current programs being offered include the Paycheck Protection Program, which provides a forgivable loan if employees are retained or brought back. The SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loans, which is a loan of up to $2 million available to small businesses and nonprofits affected by COVID-19. And last, the Illinois Small Business Emergency Loan Fund, another program with loan amounts of up to $50,000 for businesses with fewer than 50 employees and less than $3 million in revenues. Again, the purpose of the webinar is to go in depth on all of these programs. We've been working with Donna Framke and our marketing department, who have been diligent in communicating with our business owners. As she mentioned, they've developed a business resources webpage specifically with resources for dealing with COVID-19, and will begin sending out the Noteworthy News business newsletter periodically. As Hannah already discussed, the village has rolled back different fees and license deadlines for businesses, and we continue to work together as a staff to find different solutions for our businesses in this challenging time. Thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla. Any other departments, Forrest, anything you want to talk about with the fire department at all?
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Just wanted to thank all the firefighters in Tinley Park. We've been fully staffed throughout the entire event here so far, though calls for service have been a little on the light side. We haven't had any exposures that we know of to any of the firefighters or any of our personnel at this point, and that's really about it right now.
All right. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for the time to present this update.
Thank you, manager and staff. We'll move on to item number 5. At this time, I'd ask the board to consider the appointment of Ms. Kayla West as a commissioner of the Plan Commission in the village of Tinley Park. Can I get a motion for that, please?
I'll make a motion to consider the appointment of Khalil West as a commissioner on the Plan Commission.
Second?
It's been properly moved and seconded. Thank you. Are there any comments on the board regarding this appointment this evening? Let the record reflect there's none. Are there any comments from the public this evening regarding the appointment of Ms. Kayla West as Commissioner of the Tinley Park Plan Commission?
Mr. Mayor, Attorney O'Grady, there are no emails sent to the clerk's office, and there's nobody here in the boardroom.
Thank you, Counselor. At this time, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady. Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Thank you all. The motion will carry. Item 6. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to consider approval of the following consent agenda items.
So moved.
It's been properly moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly seconded. Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you call the items in the consent agenda into the record?
Item A, consider payment of impact fees through November 2019 in the amount of $700 to Consolidated High School District 230 from the escrow fund. And item B, consider payment of outstanding bills in the amount of $1,807,804.85 as listed on the vendor board approval report dated March 20th, March 27th, and April 3rd, 2020.
Thank you, Clerk. Does any board member care to remove any of these consent agenda items from the board meeting? Let the record reflect that none do. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion will carry. Item 7, Trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting Resolution 2020-R-020, authorizing the execution of an annexation agreement with Mad Outdoor Incorporated for property located at 18501 Ridgeland Avenue.
Second?
And properly moved and seconded. Trustee Mueller, please proceed.
The petitioners, David Millay and Mark Hitchner, on behalf of Mad Outdoor Incorporated, have petitioned the Village of Tinley Park to annex their approximate 16.58 acre parcel located at 18501 Ridgeland Avenue. There are 3 billboards with 4 sign faces currently located on the property that will be rendered illegal non-conforming upon annexation. Per the annexation agreement, these billboards will be allowed to continue in their current configuration subject to Section 9.n non-conforming signs of the Tinley Park zoning ordinance. The property will be annexed as R-1 single-family residential zoning district. Any redevelopment of the parcel will need to conform to village code, ordinances, and regulations as amended from time to time. As part of the annexation agreement, the petitioners have agreed to provide 1 month of advertising per year on 1 billboard free of charge with the exception of a nominal production cost of $700 for layout and printing. A public hearing was held before the village board meeting on April 7, 2020. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Are there any comments from the board? Let the record reflect there's none. Are there any comments from the public regarding this item?
Mr. Mayor, this is Attorney O'Grady. There were no emails to the clerk's office regarding this agenda item, and there's nobody present in the boardroom.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Burke.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you all. Item 8, Trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting ordinance 2020-0-015, approving the annexation of parcel of property commonly located at 18501 Ridgeland Avenue to the Village of Tinley Park.
Second?
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Trustee Mueller, you can proceed, please.
The petitioners, David Millay and Mark Hitzner, on behalf of Mad Outdoor Inc., are seeking annexation of the property with PIN 31-05-101-002-0000. There are 3 billboards with 4 sign faces currently located on the property that will be rendered illegal non-conforming upon annexation. The property will be annexed into the R1 single-family residential zoning district. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Are there any comments from the board? No comments from the board. Any comments from the public? There's nobody that's present or nobody that's emailed regarding this item, has there?
Mr. Mayor, this is Attorney O'Grady. That's correct. No emails and nobody present in the room.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Burke.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
The motion will carry. Thank you. Item number 9, Trustee Mueller.
I motion to consider adopting Resolution 2020-R-034, authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding between the Village of Orland Park, Illinois, and the Village of Tinley Park, Illinois, building health inspections.
Second?
Been properly moved and seconded. Trustee Mueller, you can proceed.
As a result of the ongoing COVID-19 public health emergency, the Village of Orland Park and the Village of Tinley Park have determined that efforts to ensure continuity of inspection services in the building, plumbing, electrical, and health trades are required. As a result of the discussions between the two communities regarding continuity of inspection services, this memorandum of understanding was deemed necessary to provide the communities with assurances that necessary building and health inspections would continue despite potential personal disruptions. This resolution is eligible for adoption tonight.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? No comments from the board. Any comments from the public? Nothing emailed and nobody present, I presume?
Mr. Mayor, this is Attorney O'Grady. That's correct.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Burke.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you. Item 10, Trustee Galante.
Thank you. A motion to consider approval of the ordinance 2020-0-017, adopting the annual budget for the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2021 for the Village of Tinley Park, Cook, and Will Counties of Illinois.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Trustee Galante, you can proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. On March 10th, 2020 and March 17, 2020, the Committee of the Whole met and recommended approval of the proposed budget for fiscal year ending April 30th, 2021. The proposed total expenditure budget for the general fund is $57,397,932. The Tinley Park Library is also included in the proposed budget, and the proposed total expenditure budget for the library's general fund is $5,891,550. The proposed total expenditure budget of all village funds, including the Tinley Park Public Library, is $150,282,614. In accordance with the state statutes, a public hearing was held prior to this meeting on April 7, 2020. As required, a copy of the proposed budget has been available for public inspection on the transparency portal of the village website since April 1st, 2020. This ordinance is eligible for first reading.
Thank you, Trustee Galante. Are there any comments from the board? There are none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
No.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion for first reading will carry. Item 11, Trustee Galante.
Thank you. I'll motion to consider Resolution 2020-R-033, authorizing transfers from the General Fund, Water and Sewer Operations and Maintenance Fund, and Commuter Parking Lot Operations and Maintenance Fund.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. You can proceed.
This resolution implements a series of year-end transactions following established fiscal practices as outlined in the Fiscal Policies Manual. These transfers are supported by the excess of revenues over expenditures expected to be generated for the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2020, or from fund balance of the fund initiating the transfer. The transfers are made to the capital and debt service reserve funds to support the current and long-term financial needs of the village, to support the replacement of infrastructure equipment, and provide the debt services on outstanding bonds. The resolution established not to exceed amounts for the contemplated transfers of $10 million from the general fund, $3 million from the water and sewer fund, and $1 million from the commuter parking lot fund. This resolution is eligible for first reading.
Thank you, Trustee Galante. Are there any comments from the board? Let the record reflect there is none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion will carry for first reading. Item 12, receive comments from staff.
None.
I just have one thing. This is, Pat, we're in a severe thunderstorm warning right now, but I think, Greg, are you following that?
Yes, I am.
So just to be aware, we are in a severe thunderstorm warning at this time.
Open up the bunker.
It's open.
Roger that. If there's nothing else from staff, we'll move on to item 13. Are there any comments from the board this evening?
I do, Jake.
Trustee,
I'd like,
Call out Mike Lotz
go
first.
ahead.
Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, Bill. So I just reiterate for some people that didn't watch the public hearing, the meeting prior to this, there were some questions about our budget. Again, if you missed it, Brad Bettenhausen mentioned on the reserves that we have in case this continues, that we could go, luckily, maybe 6 months with no revenue coming in. And that is solely from our predecessors for the last, Brad said, last 50 years, from, all the work that Brad has done, the finance department, our department directors, Dave Niemeyer, Mr. Niehaus, former manager, Mr. Mertens, Mr. Tilton, former Mayor Seaman, former Clerk Ray, and former Mayor Zabraki. And then I wanted to touch about the seniors. That's something that Pat didn't mention. So we have roughly 150 volunteers that have signed up to help our seniors. And it has been amazing the help from all the volunteers in Tinley Park and Pat's organization on getting that information down to the committee. If you're a senior watching, or a senior that's watching, that could use help, please have them call 708-444-5601. And then Pat Carr will get that information down to the committee to contact the senior if they need help. And then lastly, just ask everyone to just keep continuing the shop local and stay calm. We'll get through this together, and we'll be back to normalcy, hopefully sooner than later. Thank you.
Jake, I'd like to just make a comment. I just want to publicly thank the village staff. I know it's been difficult in the last couple weeks. Some are working from home, some are switching off, working in the office, and I really appreciate all your hard work, because I know it's definitely a disruption to all of our normal routines, and really appreciate what you guys are doing. I really appreciate what all of our citizens are doing. For the most part, I see us, practicing all the guidelines set forth by our state and federal leaders. So we really appreciate everyone, following those guidelines, and appreciate everyone's hard work. So,
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Brady.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Brady, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to just add on to what Trustee Glotz said. If there are any seniors out there, certainly the Orland Township has set up a drive-through food pantry. We have emergency water and toilet paper for any of our seniors, and we do have transportation, obviously limited, to doctor's appointments, etc. So they need to call over at the township at 403-4222 to get any of our emergency services. We'll be glad to take care of it for them.
Thank you, Trustee Brady.
Are
there any other board members that would care to comment this evening?
I have the floor, Mr. Mayor.
Trustee Mueller.
So just a couple quick items. One, can the clerk note that the plan commissioner that we appointed today, her name is actually spelled K-E-H-L-A instead of K-A-H-L-A. So just wanted to point out that. And then I wanted to thank one of our newest members to the Tinley Park family. Priscilla has been doing a great job. You saw her presentation earlier today. I don't think there could have been more of a trial by fire, but she's certainly answered the call, and I've heard nothing but positive from everyone that's interacted with her. So thank you so much for all the hard work that you're doing, Priscilla. And then I just wanted to thank the clerk's office and Hannah and all the staff that helped out with this call. Without the initial hiccup, I think this went all fairly well. So appreciate all your help in helping us stay compliant with the governor's orders while still being able to get our official business in. So appreciate it.
Thank you, Trustee
Safely.
Mueller.
Jake, I had one last thing to
Mayor
add.
Vandenberg? Mayor Vandenberg,
Yes.
this is Trustee Berg.
Trustee Berg, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. I would like to wish everyone a very happy Easter, and God bless you and all of your families, the board, trustee, and all of our residents. It's a very tough time on everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
Trustee
you.
Berg. Okay, I will end with just echoing the entire board. You know, I think it goes without saying that I think it speaks volumes to the dedication that the individuals, everyone that's participating on this this video conference, the dedication they have to Tinley Park, to their role in providing excellent service to the community. That goes for the trustees and all the wonderful work you guys are doing to stay a part of the community and helping out as best as you can. I absolutely commend you all for that and your dedication to your neighbors. And to my business friends and all of our small businesses in Tinley Park, I just ask you to continue to do what you do. Keep your heads up. Keep them held high. Keep your chins held high. Tinley Park is here to help you in any way we can. And that goes for all of our staff as well, and certainly your elected officials. It was mentioned to have a blessed Easter. I would echo that. Trustee Berg, thank you. Trustee Glatz, shop local, absolutely. I think that's absolutely imperative to continuing the success of the economy here in Tinley Park and certainly the region. And last but not least, just to stay healthy and be well and be safe and pay attention and listen to your public officials and your health officials. And together, we will all get through this without a problem. So just keep on doing what you're doing. You guys are doing a great job. It is encouraging, I will say, to drive around Tinley or walking around your neighborhood and seeing all the friendly artwork on your sidewalks or in your windows. I just think it's awesome and just speaks volumes to how great this community is. So enough with the soapbox, but keep up the good work, everyone. Thank you very, very much.
Jake, I had one
At this
last
time,
thing
we'll move
to add. I had one last thing to add. I forgot to mention too, last week, we were able to wish former clerk and retired Brigadier General Pat Ray happy birthday. It was his 80th birthday. Thank you for the small group that came out to bring him his cookies and cake. It was nice to see him again, and he's doing well. Thanks, Jake.
We'll move on to item 15. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn the regular board meeting. Actually, before I proceed with that, has anyone joined the meeting late that would like to have a comment added to the record?
No, Mayor Vandenberg.
Thank you all very much. This time, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn our regular village board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
That motion will carry. We are adjourned. Thank you all. Have a good night. Thanks for your patience during this call.